Everyone's coming, sir.
Everyone's coming. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Thank you very much for coming. How about I go to the front table, introduce himself while we're dallying around and waiting for council start. Starting with our town clerk.
Town clerk. Mary Fitzgibbon, Executive Administrator.
Lance, Select Board.
Tom Carter, Select Board.
Ron Kohler, Select Board, thanks for coming.
Janet Rogers, Finance Committee.
Ted Murray, Finance Committee.
And we chair of Finance Committee. Now, Tom will be here in a minute.
Yes.
Buzz Eisenberg, moderator. Thank you for coming as well. And here he is.
Here he is.
Why don't you introduce yourself as you're approaching the meeting?
Tom Schreiber. We all gave a 5-minute mini bio.
Okay.
Flesh that out.
Right. So, first of all, remember that I think that there's both video and audio recording devices being run, so everybody be noticed that that's the case. And I ask the town clerk to please read the return of the warrant.
To either of the constables of the town of Ashfield in the county of Franklin, greetings in the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You are hereby directed to notify more inhabitants of said town, qualified to vote in the elections and in town affairs, to meet at the Ashfield Town Hall in said Ashfield on Monday, the 6th of April 2015, at 7 o'clock in the evening, then in which act the following articles. And you are directed to serve the warrant by punching up attested copies thereof at the Ashfield Town Hall in the Ashfield Post Office in said town, 14 days at least before the time of holding said meeting. Hereof fail not to make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place this meeting as for said. Given this day under our hands, the 18th day of March in the year of our Lord 2015, signed by Tom Carter, Ron Kohler, Todd O'Lanick, Ashfield Select Board. Pursuant to within the warrant, I have notified and warned the inhabitants of the town of Ashfield by posting up attested copies of the same at the Ashfield Town Hall in the Ashfield Post Office 17 days before the date as directed, signed by Warren Kilpatrick on March 20th, Constable of Ashfield.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start. Well, first of all, you could have shown enough respect for the meeting to shave before you came. Article 1, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Carter.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town transfer $3,900 from tax title to assessor's expenses.
Second?
Second.
Would you like to explain, Mr. Carter? Or someone else?
Well, the assessors could explain, but I know the background here. They're going to be short in assessor's expenses this year, and we've appropriated more tax title money than we need, so we're moving that over. $3,000 is for refiguring some boundaries with the new computer software and knowing where the boundaries are. There has to be some reconfiguration there, and it costs about $900 every time the town has to take a case to the appellate tax board. So, and we've had to do that this year, and it wasn't in the original budget. So, it's $3,900. We're just moving from one account that's surplus to an account that's going to be deficit.
Thank you. Is there a recommendation from Finance Committee?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee unanimously recommends for it.
Thank you, Mr. Schreiber. Discussion? Questions, comments? Yes, sir, Mr. Lillard.
Alan Lillard, 44, Washington Spruce Corner. You mentioned we had to go to appellate court. Was there any big deals on that? Or we lost some money or besides the 900?
Their assessor.
Sandy, or? Yeah.
The 900 is, when we go to the appellate tax board, Mayflower, who we subcontract with to do all of our property appraisals, they are the ones that go with us, and they are the ones that do all the talking and the research, and their daily fee is $900.
Again, was the question, did it cost us any more than 900? Is that the question?
yes, and what was, I understand there was one big one. Just one for 800,000, 400,000.
Mr. Lilly, if you could stand up and say clearly what it is you're asking.
I'd like to know, I understand going for the tax appraisals, there was one that went from 800,000 on Main Street to 400,000. I just wondered if you could explain that to us a little bit.
I'm not sure if I can.
All right, if you can
I don't think I
You
can.
can stand up so we
It's
can all
not
hear
at
you.
400, I'll tell you that, it's not at 400. I don't know, Rick? Do you think I can address?
Could we all please identify ourselves and stand so we could all hear each other? Mr. Chandler.
Yeah, Rick Chandler, Main Street. I'm not sure that, I mean, this is something we would address in a normal meeting. It's an evaluation question. It has nothing to do with this particular ATV situation, so I don't know. I don't feel like the group here necessarily wants to hear about that right now. If you want to come into a meeting, we can talk about it. All right?
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of transferring $3,900 from tax title to assessor's expenses, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
And any abstentions? The motion passes. Thank you. Article 2.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Kohler.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town transfer $5,400 from legal expense to Veterans Benefits Local.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Would you like to explain this?
Yeah, basically, this is one of the few accounts that we can deficit spend in, and because of change in assessments and number of veterans, we need more money in this account. And we have some additional money in legal expense this year, and so we're leaving enough in there for any unforeseen future expenses on the legal side. We think we can safely transfer this amount to cover veteran benefits locally.
Thank you. The recommendation from the Finance Committee.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends unanimously in favor of this article.
Thank you, Mr. Murray. Discussion. Ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor of transferring $5,400 from legal expense to veterans benefit local, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I have no idea what you just said to me. Oh, I see. Yeah, I said 5,400 instead of 5,400. I don't speak Irish. Article 3 is...
Mr. Moderator,
Sir Leonard.
I move the town vote to transfer $60,088 from vocational expenses to winter roads.
Second. Moved and seconded. Could you explain?
Sure. We had a lot of snow and ice this winter. The roads were a mess. We had budgeted $95,000 originally, and we overspent that by $60,087.78. So we need to move money in there to cover that overage. This past winter was the second most expensive in the last 10 years for us. The first was 08, when we had that big ice storm. But that's what the expense is, cleaning up the roads.
Recommendation of Finance Committee.
Yes, Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee unanimously recommends Article 3.
Thank you very much. Discussion. You ready to vote? Okay. All in favor of transferring $60,088 from vocational expenses to winter roads, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Article 4, is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Carter.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town transfer $40,000 from the free cash account to an account to be established for the Smith Branch Road project.
Is there a second to that
I'll
motion?
second that.
Okay, an explanation, please, Mr. Carter.
Yeah, in an effort to get cleaned up from storms several years ago and get Smith Branch Road, that dirt section that goes down to Apple Valley, straightened up so it's not such a repair headache year after year after year. The town was fortunate to be able to secure a grant to rebuild that portion of road to make it more secure and just a better road so it doesn't end up running into the brook and down to Buckland every year. So we have a grant secured for most of that. There could very well be, because of some extra hurdles that we had to jump through with DEP on the grading and the materials that are going to be used for erosion control and so forth, there could be as much as $80,000 or $90,000 above and beyond what the grant is. The highway superintendent has spoken to the engineer at DEP to use some of our Chapter 90 money, and found that that was an acceptable use of Chapter 90 money as far as the engineer was concerned that needs to sign off on it. But at the same time, we felt it would be irresponsible to use $80,000 or $90,000, whatever it happened to be, out of Chapter 90 for this project. So what we did is we decided that it would be prudent to take half of it from Chapter 90 money and half of it from free cash. Now this project, the final engineering is being done on it, and it has not gone out to bid. So it's quite possible that when the bids come in, that it'll be less than what we expect, and we may not have to expend any of this. But it is kind of there's time constraints on this. It needs to go out to bid, and it needs to be done end of July and into August, low flow times for the stream that runs down through there. So it's imperative that we have the money set up for the project ahead of time so we don't stub our toe looking for money if it's necessary. So that's the reason for this article.
Before I ask the Finance Committee, I have a question. So really what we're doing is asking, I didn't understand this before just now, we're asking the town to authorize you to transfer a sum up to $40,000, but you don't have to do it if the account actually isn't open. Is that right?
We don't have to expend it. We're going to transfer the money. The motion is to transfer the money, but that does not guarantee that it'll be expended.
I misheard you. I apologize. Okay. Is there a recommendation from the Finance Committee?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends unanimously.
Thank you. Discussion. Sir, Mr. Cranston. What's on your chin?
Is there a chance that we're going to put a surface on there that will stay this time, or do we still have to use the same old surface?
Tom, you looked at the plans.
Tom Corzine. Surface is going to be gravel surface. Most of this, or all of this money that we're talking about is primarily for retaining wall between the brook and the roadway. In the upper section of Smith Branch Road, kind of about where the guardrails are, is where the most damage was occurred. But there's a section there, there's an old retaining wall built out of stone, and this is the majority of this project is to rebuild that wall.
Okay, Mr. Cranston.
I just keep thinking that would be money saving in the future if we could put a surface on there that would stay better than what we've always had. But maybe that would be out of the future completely.
In the future, we could certainly address that issue, but that's not part of this project. This project is very specific, what can be done, and there's no extra money to change the surface of the road. That could be a separate project somewhere down the road.
Discuss. Yeah, oh, no, you don't need to if you can. Sorry. Why don't you
I can rise.
All right.
The monies I know I've heard the sum of for a community block grant is,
Well, the estimated cost of the project is around $340,000. But as Mr. Carter mentioned before, this project has not been put out to bid yet. So when we receive the bids, there is a chance that we will not need all this money. But it's important that we have this money up front because we have timelines that we have to meet. This project needs to be done by September 30th. And through this process of obtaining the grant, there's also some obligations to the town to put in a certain amount of money for town contribution. So, as Mr. Carter said, with the DEP had some issues with a few things. We had to change a few designs, which changed some permitting. There's a little extra cost there, but we had money to cover that cost. But we anticipate some additional construction costs because of these issues, and we just need to be prepared for that. As Mr. Carter said, it's possible we will not even spend that much money. We have to be prepared to move this forward this summer. We cannot come back and spend 6 weeks or 4 weeks setting up another town meeting and waiting. We'll throw the whole project out the window and we'll lose the entire community development block grant.
okay, now, so what is the cost of the engineer's part of this project? And does that money come out of this 340K?
No, that's a separate cost.
The answer is no, it's separate. Sit down.
Buzz?
Yeah, Mr. Carter.
Yeah, I think what's important to know is that this reconstruction, it's a bit of a process, but this project particularly that we're talking about is layered over FEMA and MEMA money after that road was destroyed. So together it turns into a real reconstruction project where FEMA and MEMA will give you money to bring it back, and now we want to make the improvements. I think, Doug, your point is excellent as far as a surface, hoping it would stay, but we're both aware that we can put all kinds of surfaces on, and if we don't have the drainage taken care of ahead of time, it ends up going downstream just like the gravel does. So that's the idea behind this project, is try to have it move forward in a logical manner.
Thank you for your questions today. Other discussion? We ready to vote on Article 4? Okay. All those in favor of transferring $40,000 from free cash to an account to be established for the Smith Branch Road project, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Article 5.
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Kohler.
I move to table Article 5.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Would you like to explain why?
Yeah, basically, back when we prepared the warrant, since we've prepared the warrant, we've come across some state pothole money, which has benefited the town greatly. So there's no longer a need for this.
Okay, thank you. So motion to table, motion to postpone to a date certain is different. Motion to postpone to another date, even if you don't know the date, is different. Both of those can be debated. Both of those are a simple majority. Motion to table requires a supermajority of 2/3. It's non-amendable and non-debatable. And so we need to get 2/3, and we'll see if we have to do a count. First, we'll try it by voice. All those in favor of tabling Article 5, that means it goes away and it doesn't come back unless there's another round to bring it back. Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? I will not count so long as there's no objection to not counting. I have that as unanimous. Anybody object? Okay, thank you. Article 6, is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator,
Mr. Lennox.
I move the town transfer $1,000 for short-term debt interest and up to $1,000 for vocational expenses for a total of up to $2,000 to highway labor.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Explanation, please.
Tom?
Yeah, this is mostly to cover, realize that the last pay period in the fiscal year ends on, I think it's July 26th. We have 3 additional days that we're going to have in June that we're going to need to cover. It's the 28th. No, it must be the 28th. I can't remember the dates, but there's 3 additional days that we need to cover at the very end of June. And we need $2,000 to do that, to cover labor costs.
I think you said July 26th, and you meant to say June.
I'm sorry, I did say July, not June.
I think we all understood. I didn't get the finance committee, did I?
No.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Finance Committee recommends unanimously in favor of this article. Mr. Moderator.
I'm sorry for that omission. Chief-Salita Schwartz, I saw your hand up.
Tom, Chief-Salita Schwartz, was this because of overage, because of the weather and extra hours, or not budgeted, or can you have this thing?
Well, it's nothing to do with the weather, I mean, it's just so many pay periods in the year. And then when we prepare the budget, when we prepared this budget, it was like a year and a half before this time period is going to come about. So our last pay period ends June 20-something, and then there's a Friday, and a Monday and Tuesday, which would be the 30th and 31st of June. But we're just not covered in the budget.
Any other discussion? Mr. Carter?
Yeah, just for a little extra clarification, as far as that Winter Road article we went through, that covered the extra labor and supplies and plow blades and all of that, so that took care of that. And we want to make sure there's enough in highway labor because it was alluded to, Ron alluded to pothole money. Well, what it is the state or the administration had released $100 million to help the communities across the state because of the harsh winter. So Ashfield's share of that is $44,000. One of the stickers on that is that $44,000, although we have plenty of projects, that $44,000, those projects have to be completed and the paperwork sent in by the last day of June. So although it's not a problem spending money, you got to get the projects completed and so forth, and certainly we don't want to be short on our labor account down the road when we're trying to spend this money and get the road shaped back up. So that maybe makes it a little clearer.
Any other comments or questions with respect to this up to $2,000?
I think some of it too is that when you look at the calendar, we plan on budgeting for 52 weeks throughout the year. And, when you divide the 52 into the 365, you've got a remaining day. And what happens is that backlogs. So now we've got the 29th and 30th kind of follow, are extra days that we didn't budget for, and it kind of catches up with us. And I think that's where some of it's coming from, is that extra 2 days over is because it's 52 weeks plus 2 days.
Further discussion?
It has to do with potholes.
You have to stand up since you can.
Do you have any idea when the state is going to come through and repair the potholes on Main Street?
Yes. Who are you asking that?
No.
Well, I'm not a state employee, so it's hard for me to answer that, but I'm probably as anxious, if not more anxious than you are. But I just feel there'll be a long, Joanne, and we probably just have to, we have to be a little patient. I don't think they listen to Tom any more than they listen to you.
Mr. Lilly?
have one question. I know that isn't a town road, but it would take a lot of money to fill it out 3 holes and have it done.
What, on Main Street?
Yeah, between the 4 corners of here.
I think they would cite us for working on their roads. I have no doubt they would.
Do it again.
Any other questions or comments? No? Ready to vote on Article 6? All those in favor of transferring $1,000 from short-term debt interest and up to $1,000 from vocational expenses for a total of up to $2,000 to highway labor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion, any abstentions? Motion carries. Article 7, do I hear a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Carter.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town transfer $5,000 from short-term debt interest for a town administrator's salary.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Would like to speak to this, please?
Sure. The Board of Selectmen, during the budget process and speaking with the Finance Committee, we really feel that there's a need, and of course a lot of other folks in town do too, that we get back into a situation where we have a town administrator. Much the same as all the communities that pretty much all the communities that surround us, to have a professional, official town administrator with duties and responsibilities, and someone to be held accountable for managing well, this year will be about a $4.4 million budget. We've got a search committee in place that's working to get the candidates rounded up and give us some finalists. And we have kind of an ambitious goal, is that we're hoping that we would have the candidates in front of us by the middle of May, so we can have one employed, have somebody in place to start the 1st of June. If we can do that, that would be, in my estimation, that would be a wonderful thing, because you could introduce a new person into our town and the budget the last month, right? The last month of our fiscal year for the month of June, and then they'd be ready to start right off the 1st of July for the next fiscal year. So if we're able to hit those thresholds, it'll be a great thing to get this position reinstated in the town of Ashfield.
Thank you. Finance Committee. Ms. Rogers.
Yes, Mr. Moderator, Finance Committee unanimously recommends this article.
Thank you. Discussion. Yes, sir.
Rick Interest from Watson Spruce Corner Road. So I noted that between the years of 2009 and 2014, the town hall salaries increased by 155%. And now we're being asked for another significant increase in town hall salaries. And so the question is, will there be any end to these eye-popping increases in town hall salaries?
Who would like to clarify?
I think it's a great question. I mean, and don't think that we don't look at those very same questions every year when we're going through the budget, because we do. This budget line, I mean, at annual town meeting, we won't be talking about $5,000, we'll be talking about $60,000 possibly. That's what we have it budgeted. But at the same time, we're eliminating about a $30,000 or $35,000 position with the executive administrator. So we're trying to move from one stage to another, to a more professional position. We're missing a tremendous number of opportunities. And I don't think any of us that are in here on a regular basis. I mean, we really are missing opportunities as far as state aid and grants and those sorts of things, just because we end up, we've been trying to do things part-time, part-time help, part-time positions, and we get buried in doing, the tasks that have to be done. You shovel the pile that's in front of you right now. When I think about the town administrator, I think about 1989. Okay? In 1989, I got a brand new GMC pickup. Today, I still think that that was the greatest pickup I ever had. It wasn't very aerodynamic. You got terrible gas mileage, and it was two-wheel drive. So the town is much the same as that pickup, because I can't go and I can't order a brand new 1989. And the fact is that our expectations have changed, right? We have more regulation. We expect more efficiency, right? And we want to make it more user-friendly. And I think that's the reason that we can't stick with a model that we've actually gone back to. Right? We had a town administrator in this town for 10 or 15 years, probably more than 15 years. We had a town administrator, although maybe the hours at times were limited. And then we went back to something that actually the executive administrator's position we had got cut all the way back to 15 hours, I believe, when Mary started in that position. And it very quickly had to be increased, and we still probably don't budget anywhere near, I know we don't, not probably, I know we don't budget enough hours to do that. So, and we're looking for somebody to, like I said, to take on the responsibility day to day and be able to make the decisions on administering a $4.4 million budget. And so the select board doesn't have to be in the middle of every one of those decisions, but more be in charge of the policies that need to be administered.
It's worth mentioning that the Department of Revenue, Division of Local Services, did what I call a peer review of the town. They came in, they looked through our books, did something like kind of like a management letter, but not really a management letter. And one of their foremost suggestions was that we have a town administrator to deal with this inordinate amount of regulation and a lot of the grants and so on and so forth, administration of the town. The town administrator is, for your information, not quite a town manager, higher than an executive administrator, somewhere in between.
So I recently read in the Ashfield News that we've been declared an urban, by the federal government, an urban place, not a rural town. So I was hoping that this might be something the administrator could address, among other things. Can you give us some examples of some of the things that what kind of the skills that you're looking for, a sense of the ballpark of salary so people can link the two to including benefits, and also what are some of the big gaps that you expect them to be able to address that aren't being addressed?
You ask a lot of questions.
Job descriptions on that.
Since you read in the Ashfield News about being called urban, since then they've changed their minds, right? I'm not sure if that was the state or the federal government, but enough cages got rattled in the meantime. But I think Plainfield is still urban, aren't they? So that as far as Ashfield's concerned, that hoop has been successfully scaled. What we're really looking for is some real good municipal finance, some skills working with other towns, working with state agencies, being able to fill in some of these gaps when grants come available. Someone to help us and help all the other volunteers in town, right? Everybody that's on commissions and so forth. I mean, we would love to think that the town hall staff has very set duties and that the executive administrator only works for the select board. Well, for all the good people that are here that volunteer their time in town to be on boards and commissions and so forth, when you have time to come in and you need answers to questions, somebody in the office has to address that, has to help you find the resources, post meetings, so on and so forth. We're looking for someone with some good management skills to manage what's going on in town hall and try to get that done as effectively as it possibly can. Someone to work with the highway superintendent to look at projects and figure out capital schedules on what we're going to need and help us, although each one of us, every one of us in this room have a different idea of what this town's going to look like and going to need 5, 6, 10, 15 years from now, someone to help put those things together so we have a plan. There is a lot to do. There is a lot to do. And anybody that can help us do that. The search committee, we're pretty anxious to see what gets turned in for resumes and so forth. But Conway, Buckland, Deerfield, Shelburne, they all have these positions that they're very thankful to have. So I don't think it's, Ashfield is not on an island.
Yes, I can't, it's been so long.
Juliet Jake from Johnford Road. I just wanted to say that the job is posted on our website, ashfield.org, so it links to the formal job description, so you might get more information there.
Nice.
Priscilla Phelps, Buckland Road. I work every day with the town administrator, and I can tell you this town sorely needs one.
Other questions, comments? Memories of a favorite truck that you had? You ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor of transferring $5,000 from short-term debt interest to the town administrator's salary, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Article 8, is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Holder.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town transfer $2,530 from property insurance, $200 from bonds, $270 from traffic speed trailer for a total of $3,000 to retention wall repair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Will you explain what this is all about?
Sure. We're talking about the very large retention wall that runs north of Bronson Ave. And it's in very sorry shape. What we've done as a town, we own about a third of it. There's an old private way that leads from Buckland Road up. And then the field board owns the other 2/3 from there. So we've had pretty much an arrangement with them, a 1/3, 2/3 arrangement, fiscal arrangement, where we've covered some of the initial costs of looking at what it would take to repair that wall. We haven't started construction at all on it. The first expense that we've already dealt with was an alternatives analysis, the different types of construction possible to remediate the situation. That's over and done with. The next thing, once you decide what methodology you want, you go into a design phase. And this additional money is for our portion of the design phase, which should be done prior to the close of this fiscal year. So there was a $40,700 estimate for the design phase to get us through permitting to the construction documents, of which we had a liability for 1/3, or $13,566.66, minus what we have not expended in that line item, which is $10,600, leaves a shortfall of 2966.66, and I'm saying let's make that an even $3,000. We're saying let's make that an even $3,000, cover miscellaneous other expenses. So that's what that is for. And then going forward, after the design phase, we're going to really look hard for grants to help us through, to help the field board work together, us from the municipal side, them from the not-for-profit side, to see what we can do to repair that wall.
Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee unanimously recommends for it.
Thank you. Discussion? Yes.
Hi, Wilder. Can you go over again where you said you were getting that money from, please?
Yeah. $2,530 from property insurance, $200 from bonds, and $270 from the traffic speed trailer line item.
Okay, thank you.
Questions, comments, discussion? No. We're ready to vote? Nobody wants to amend the 270 to 271? Okay, all those in favor of transferring $2,530 from property insurance, $200 from bonds, $270 from traffic speed trailer, for a total of $3,000 to retention wall repair, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, any abstentions? Okay, passes by majority. Article 9, is there a motion?
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Orlando.
I move the town transfer $5,000 from workers' compensation to historical commission expenses for celebration of the town's 250th anniversary.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are we having an anniversary?
I'm not
growing that
this into my mouth for no
no,
reason at all. Every day that goes by, I have to explain myself more and more often. But so the historical commission came to us a month and a half ago, looking for funding for 250th anniversary celebration events. These events, as many of you may know, are happening in late June, the 19th, through that weekend. This is before the fiscal year ends, so we couldn't put it into next year's budget. They need some amount of money this year for those celebrations. Now, I think that through the events, some of them they're going to try to raise money outside of this for those events and hopefully not expend everything, but we needed to have something in the kitty that made them feel comfortable about being able to plan events for the 250th anniversary celebration. Did I miss anything, Steve?
I can answer questions that you have.
Well, let's hear from the Finance Committee. Is there a recommendation?
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends unanimously in favor of this warrant article.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
What are the events?
Mr. Inches?
Rick Interest, Watson's First Corner Road. What are the proposed events?
Thank you.
Steve Goodgen, Holly Road. I'm also the chair of the Historical Commission. The events, well, we've had a number of events that have been going on already this year, including beer growing contest, we had an ice cutting event we had in Ashfield Lake, a bunch of other things planned. The town's sesquibicentennial, the official date that the town was incorporated, was the 21st of June 1765. 21st of June happens to fall on a Sunday this year, so we're planning events over that whole weekend, starting with Friday evening with fireworks, the culmination of beer growing contest. Saturday there's going to be a parade, music, and other events going on at Town Common, and other events going on Sunday morning also, interfaith service, baseball games at the field. All this stuff, you can find out more information. There's actually at ashfield250.com has a website, and Facebook, and all that. So if you want specifics on calendar events, what's going on.
They're doing a heck of a job. Any other discussion? I shouldn't have applauded in the middle of the discussion. So. I got beside myself. Any other discussion, questions, comments?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes. Mr. Ryan?
Despite how fantastic this looks, this is all being taken care of at my own expense. I'm not getting any funding right now. So you know.
It's true, we don't have to bear children and give birth, but this is not fun. Anyway, are we ready to vote? Okay. All those in favor of transferring $5,000 from workers' compensation to historical commission expenses for celebration of the town's 250th anniversary, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Thank you very much. Passes unanimously. Article 10. Motion.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Carter.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town transfer $5,000 from the health insurance account to the history project expenses.
Second.
Please explain.
The group that's been working on the next edition of the town history, they need some money to get to finish up the project, money to get the first books bound and that sort of thing, and this is money to that end.
Is there a recommendation? Thank you. And the Finance Committee?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends this article.
Thank you. Discussion.
Question now on
Sure.
South Street, is that unanimous?
Yes, it's unanimous, sorry.
Thank
You want the love fest to continue? That's a good question. Any discussion? Ready to vote?
Yes, Rick Interest, Watson, Spruce Corner Road. I noticed that we've been giving the History Project $500 a year for a number of years now, ongoing expenses, and that we also supply them with free office in the Old Town Farm. And I just wonder what happened to all that money and why do they need more?
Who would like to address that? I see Dr. Robinson here.
Yes.
Don Robinson.
I'm Don Robinson, North Road. We did get some money from the town, not $500 a year, but two allotments of $2,000 from the Grant Program Income Fund. So it's true we've received $4,000. We've also raised a good deal of money of our own. I'm guessing and estimating around $15,000 with a series of annual fund drives. So we have, I should also point out that we have been extremely prudent about the costs. All of this book is being prepared by volunteers. We have 100 writers, over 100 writers, close to 100, on the top side of 100. Writers, all of whom have volunteered their services. We have 100 photographs, which have been collected from around town. We have thousands of photographs, but we are going to print 100 of them in the book. And so we have, and these have come to us on a donation basis, some of them from professional photographers. So we have organized a tremendous effort to get this book out. And we are very grateful to those who have contributed to it. One point I noticed in the article was it basically as read, namely that this is to be conceived as a final appropriation. Was that part of the resolution?
The motion was to, may I, Mr. Moderator?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, I move that the town transfer $5,000 from health insurance to history project expenses.
Okay, good. All right, that's fine. I just, we are very grateful for this help, and the reason that we need it is that it comes at the end of the fiscal year. That is, We are hoping to have this book available by mid-May, certainly by the end of May, so that it will be ready for the Cesspool Bicentennial on June 20th or so. But if we do that, we will have to have copies available before July 1st. And that's why this is such a critical amount of money for us at this point, so that we can pay to have it produced. We will be selling copies, which will cover that cost. And I should have also add on the question of financing this project, that any money that is left at the end from the sale of the book will be returned to the town. It's been suggested that we take a Caribbean holiday with that money, but that was not seconded. Anyway, this is not going to be money that's going to any persons or anybody else. I should say we've had an office manager whom we've paid a couple $100 here and there, very modestly, and we have a design and production assistant whom we are paying a stipend. But this has been produced on a very much of a shoestring, and we will return money that is raised through the sale of the book and hopefully cover a good deal of these funds.
Thank you. Commissioner?
I have a follow-up question.
Follow-up.
How much did we expend?
Please rise so everyone can hear you.
How much did we expend on the previous edition?
$5,000. And if you want to multiply by the value of money since 1960, I think it's times 7 or so. So that would be $35,000 equivalent now. So I happen to know the answer.
Thank you. Other discussion? Yes, Schwartz.
I'm Chair Celia Schwartz. I'm just wondering, Don and I have discussed this in the past, but I'm just wondering, I would encourage the Historical Commission to, in reference to the library and the whole Emancipation Proclamation and the building project, and I'm in support of this appropriation, but to take another look at what you have in the book to make sure that we have a balanced representation of what happened then.
We worked very hard to do that. Thank you for that reminder. That's much on our minds.
Thank you. Further discussion? We ready to vote? All those in favor of transferring $5,000 from health insurance to history project expenses, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Article 11.
Mr. Moderator.
Mr. Calder.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town transfer $500 from traffic speed trailer to auditor.
Second.
Explain, please.
The Finance Committee and the Select Board have decided to solicit bids for the auditor of the town. We get audited every 2 years. And we have selected we had 3 contestants come before us, and we selected a new one by the name of Roselli, Clark and Associates from Woburn, Mass. And their every other year fee is $13,000 as opposed to the original $12,500. And they're a very good choice. We deliberated on it at length. So this is a little bit more money, and I imagine we'll be expending it before the end of the fiscal year, and those are the funds that are required, that additional $500.
Recommendation.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee unanimously recommends.
Thank you. What's a love fest? Discussion. Yes, Mr. Rice.
So, my question with this article and Article 8, does this effectively significantly impact or kill the speed trailer budget between now and the end of the fiscal year?
Mr. Carter.
good question. I was going to volunteer to answer it before you asked it, Alan. But the money that was left, I believe it's $860 in total that was carried forward. That was money voted nearly 2 years ago when we purchased it. We didn't know, we had to vote money and then go out to bid and purchase it, and it left a balance of $860 to purchase the trailer. Well, we purchased it for $860 left. That money's just been kind of hanging out there. And so we're putting it to good use now where we know we're going to have an expense. It's not money that could be used in the police department somewhere else unless we voted it, much the same as we're doing now, or for any other purpose. So we're just trying to tidy up the books a little bit and have this bill covered for this new auditing firm.
Thank you.
So no, Mr. Rice, you can't speak through town without being noticed. It doesn't mean that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes.
Diane Lowry, I'd just like to on the record that the police department would like to use that in the police department.
We'd like to use.
We'd like to use that money in the police department where we have shortfalls in our budget. Extra men out, whatever, extra equipment.
Further discussion? Ready to vote? All those in favor of transferring $500 from traffic speed trailer to auditor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Yep.
I think those were nays, right?
Yeah.
Any abstentions? Okay, motion. I think the motion carries. Anybody disagree with me? Okay. Is there any other business before the town other than, I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you that we have an annual town meeting coming up on the first Saturday in May. Second. May 2nd, we have 1,323 registered voters in town. So it would be great if we had a good turnout on this, our 250th. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for almost a full year of service, those many who volunteer in so many different ways for Ashfield. I'm really proud of the 250th work that's being done. I'm really proud of the tree project that's being done, and I'm really proud of every board and agency and commission in this town. I think we're lucky to be here. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved. Made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Have a good night.